My question is, why is your business still not registered? So you cannot hustle, start a business, and all you think about is the fact that this business is going to feed just you and your family. And when you are no more, you have no legacy. The legal brains will call that the concept of separate legal entity. Yeah, that is abrofuno. That's how they refer to it. And all that they are trying to say is that the business is an individual or a person on its own, and you, the owner or owners, are also distinct individuals. Whenever we give birth to a child, we believe that we have given birth to another person. And what we do then is to give that child a name. And when we give that child a name, we do not just end there. We go to birth and death registry and register our baby's name and give some information about the baby so that this baby will really have an identity of its own. In this instance, you will go to registrar general department and also register this newborns or new business name. Registering your business name is not really a favor or something. It is backed by law. Welcome to today's episode of Disclosures Podcast, and today it's your boy Bonna here, and I have a thought I want to share with you. And my question is, why is your business still not registered? So one of the major quests on this podcast is to ensure that we help business owners with strategies to operate a business that will just outgrow them, right? You cannot hustle, start a business, and all you think about is the fact that this business is going to feed just you and your family. And when you are no more, you have no legacy in your business. But Charlie, it's a choice. So if you think that your business is really not the one that you want is to live beyond you, to be a legacy business, maybe you just have to share this episode with your friends and drop a comment that I don't want to have a business that outlive me, and therefore tell us what you really want us to discuss for you, and we shall do that. But how can you see it if you've not subscribed? So try and subscribe to this episode, and it goes to everyone. Now, this whole conversation is for the fact that, why is your business not registered? Let me share this with you. In this era, not this era, but in businesses, we believe that, or we say that business is different from the owner, right? When you have a business, we say that the business is different from the owner. So the legal brains will call that the concept of separate legal entity. Yeah, that is abrofuno. That's how they refer to it. And all that they are trying to say is that the business is an individual or a person on its own, and you, the owner or owners, are also distinct individuals. I believe this is very less technical. So if that is the case, let's bring this analogy that we live for. Whenever we give birth to a child, we believe that we have given birth to another person. And what we do then is to give that child a name. And when we give that child a name, we do not just end there. We go to birth and death registry and register our baby's name and give some information about the baby so that this baby will really have an identity of its own and also have their name. And that baby, in as much as the person or the child is with you in your house, this individual is going to be a distinct individual separate from you. So he has his name or her name or its name, and you also have your name, and maybe your wife will also have her name, husband, your spouse have his or her name, and therefore we know that this is me, Kofi, and that is my child, Ifya, and that is it. So if we understand that business is also a separate legal entity or a human being on itself, then all that we are trying to say, or if I am encouraging you to register a business, all that I'm trying to say that is that you have given your child or the business a name. And just like how you would do for your child, you would have to go to birth and death registrar and register your child's name. So in this instance, you will go to registrar general department and also register this newborns or new business name, the name that you've given to the business. Now, one thing is that business names are brands, right? So whatever business name you hear, the name that you hear, Disclosures Podcast, which is being run at Studio of Dreams, is a podcast which is distinct from me. It has its name and it operates under a company's name, right? So the plan is that I sometimes come here and sit here solo and share my thoughts with you. I sometimes bring on board people to interview. There are going to be times where I may be out of reach, and then somebody would have to sit on this chair. Right now, I am in the guest chair, so would have to sit on the chair opposite me as the host, interview guest, or maybe present his idea solo here, and that person may not be me. So what I'm trying to say is that your business name can be a brand name. And now the brand name, unfortunately, business is not like human beings where you can have Kwabena Mensah as a name. And you in Ghana, you may have a lot of Kwabena Mensahs. And when you go down into details, you will see that they may all have their distinct features, different parents, different place of birth, different hometowns, and all those things. So you will go deep in order to find the distinction. Now, if that business name can be a brand name, which you may want to turn it into a trademark, then what stops you from registering the business? Because if someone goes ahead and register that business ahead of you, what is going to happen is that you are likely to lose your business name. And it is so interesting. I have with me here a form which is titled Registration of Business Name. And I have filled these forms like 3 times. And I just realized that it is actually an act. So the name of the act is Registration of Business Name Acts. Right? Registration of Business Names Act 1962, Act 151. So what it means is that registering your business name is not really a favor or something. It is backed by law. And my only problem is that you might be running with your business. You might be doing well with your business. You might have established a brand with this business. But if you haven't registered this name, unfortunately, this name may not be yours. I have seen people, right? I watch a podcast where they had, so their podcast is titled I think the Peswa podcast, where they have Afi and Zoo, who are the host of Stay by Plan, right? And when they started their podcast, they really had a challenge with their name. And the person who was challenging them that they have stolen their name, blah 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 blah, blah actually end up registering the name Accra Stay by Plan. And theirs was just Stay by Plan. So you see, assuming that their podcast name was Accra Stay by Plan, just as that lady who had registered that name Stay by Plan for, or Accra Stay by Plan, for her business or for whatever she registered the business for, then it means that they couldn't have registered the name of their podcast again. This can happen to you in businesses. There are so many festivals, like something like Kente Festival, right, which is running. Somebody may take Kente Festival, running with it, putting a lot of money into activation, brand activation, or let's say marketing, getting people coming to their program. And one day, they may want to feel like, okay, now this is the time that I think we've made way with this. The name has gone popular and we want to register their name. And then they may go and might have their name registered, right? So it is very important that whenever you birth an idea to register your business, or you birth an idea to run a business and you have given the business a name, just as you will do for your newborn child after you have named that child, it to register and give that child a birth certificate, it is so prudent that you also register your business name for your own interest. I've mentioned that the business is a brand, or the business name can be a brand which you might have run with it. And if you don't register, it might be taken already. Now, let's look at this. When I look at the registration form, it is actually, let's count, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 pages. It will interest you to know. It will interest you to know that on page 3, at the end of the 3rd page, which is chapter N, is really the part that will be filled by the office. So it means that though it is 4 pages, your work that you are supposed to do is just going to be on the first 3 pages. So now, let's talk about what this really entails. Now, I have to read the information just on the paper. It says that a fee. So let me just start from the top. Registration of Business Names Act 1962, Act 151. Registration of business name, sole proprietorship is section 2. Now that I am here, let me also clarify this. You can have a business, right, which you may want to register in various forms. So we have sole proprietorship. That is the most common one, which is the business that I have started by myself, that I am running by myself. Okay, so I am the sole proprietor, the sole owner of the business. There are points or parts where the business that you are engaged in, right, you may want to operate the business with somebody. So for instance, I have cash, I have access to cheap clothing, right? Very affordable clothing. And I also have taste. I have eyes for quality and beautiful things. And the quality and beautiful things that I have eyes for, I also have suppliers who can give those things to me at affordable prices, right? So what that means is that when I bring them onto the market, I am likely to get the opportunity to sell the beautiful things that I have eyes for, which I have them in very affordable cost. I can sell them at affordable prices, or even if it will be at a higher prices, then it means that my profit is also going to be very high, right? Now that is my advantage. There is another person who has access to distributors or who have marketing acumen, marketing wisdom. Then you decide that, Charlie, guy, I have this, you have this skill. Why don't we come together and run this particular business? So you become partners, right? And you agree that you are going to run this business as partners. Now, when you decide to run partners, there is an opportunity for you to register your business for partnership. It also has its requirements. Then there is this type of running the business as a business, a company, right? Limited liability company or company limited. Okay, so where this time you are establishing a business of its own, and then there will be shareholders or investors or owners who are distinct from the business. So remember when I started this conversation, I mentioned the conversation of separate legal entity, right? So let me, before I confuse you, before somebody will take us on, let me just let you understand this. When you are running a sole proprietorship or partnership, right, business, the understanding is that you, the owner, the individual, is the same as the business. There are no differences between you and the business at all. Like, you are like I and my father are one. John 10:30. So understand that the case where the business will also be distinct from the owners is when you are running a company. So it means that the business will run by itself, and then the owners will also have their distinct identity. So they are separate from the organization. So what it means is that the business can enter into its own contract, right? Enter into its own contract, can sue and be sued and all those things. But when you are running partnership and sole proprietorships, the whole point is that um you are not different from the businesses at all. And when you enter into a contract, it is believed that though it is a business contract, but it is you, the owner, who has entered into that contract. And these are very legal terms. I don't want to bore you with. I'm not even a legal luminary. So let me not just go too much of it. But what I'm trying to say is that as long as you give birth to children and you try to give them their own names and give them their own persona, give them their own person identity, it is the same way that you would want to do with your business. And to also avoid the fact that whilst you are running the business and you have really create a certain brand for yourself, somebody may not pass your bar, go and register the business and claim ownership of the name. So that is what I want us to discuss. Hi, we hope you are enjoying the conversations. Sorry I cut in this moment, but there is important information that I have to share with you. We need you to subscribe to this channel. we need you to subscribe to this podcast. This will enable us to grow our community. And I was on reading of the papers, the letters. So you say, um, these are just instructions, but now there is one thing I need you to understand. Say a fee is payable on presentation of this form, and they are saying that we should see the fees on their website www.rdg.gov.gh. And this is where I also have a problem with Ghanaian entities, government entities. We must call you out. The whole point is I'm not really calling you out, but you've told us that we should visit your website to see the fees. In fact, sometimes I just visited your website this week and I've realized that there is none like that. So maybe you may want to update it, put the fees there, or perhaps you delete this line from your forms. But whom am I? And they have asked you to read the instruction on the form. Incomplete application or invalid data may delay the registration process and blah blah blah. So what it means is that there are some instructions on the form. Normally when you pick this form, it is form A, sole proprietorship. When you pick it and you look at the right column of this form, you are going to have certain instructions that are presented on that form, right? So we may want to look at them. Now they are saying, so the part A is where you give your business name, and the instruction is that name should not be duplicated, similar, misleading, or undesirable. Okay, the registrar of business name shall have the final approval regarding the name, which is eventually submitted for registration. Section 2 of the Business Name Act. So they are quoting section 2. A list of registered name can be found on our portal. So now there is a portal where you can check whether the name that you are considering. Don't forget I told you that you can even be running with a name as your business name. But for all you know, it has already been registered as a business name for an organization already, which may not permit you to even register that same name. So what stops you from even thinking of registering your business name when you start thinking of doing the business? Right, and you can register as a sole proprietor. Later, when you get money or you become big man or your business grow, you move it into a company, and it is part of growth process. There is the nature of business. They have stated that's the section B. So the instruction is that you choose your sector by ticking the box next to it. Specify sectors. If the sector is not listed, write your sector in the space provided for others. So the whole point is they have listed sectors: legal, utility, tourism, insurance, agriculture, oil and gas, construction, telecom, ICT, housing or estate, education, quarry or mining, entertainment, food industry, manufacturing, pharmaceutical, security, media, and so many of them, right? So if you look at the business that you're about to operate, is it going to be a transport business? Is it going to be a fashion business, right? Is it going to be a shipping, media, like what I'm doing now here, social media thing? It's also a media. So if I'm registering my company, I'll take media, right? And perhaps if at the end of the day my media organization will enter into some entertainment or all those things, I can also take entertainment as part of it, right? Are you into restaurants, production of food and all those things, right? So sanitation, banking and finance, commerce. So looking at where your business really fall, you can take one or two, because they say name of business, nature of business, or sectors. If it is not provided, then you will list them by yourself at the others, right? There is this ISIC code 1, which they have also provided. They say ISIC or classification code is a standard classification for economic or business activity, so that establishment could be classified based on the activities they carry out, right? And they are saying the details can also be found on their net on the rdg.gov.gh website. And I told you I visited that website, but most of the time you do not find such information. Maybe if it's there and they see this video, they may want to probably provide education for that. But in case you do not have an idea of the code, they have given you the chance. If you cannot determine a code, please give a brief description of the company's business activities. So you import goods from China into Ghana and you sell. That is it. That is what you do. Oh, whatever you do, we collect rubbish from households into our aboboya and send to the collection dump. That is your kind of business you are into. Just don't feel shy to do what? To tell them the kind of business that you do, so that they may guide you in selecting a code. Then date of commencement, right? Now, the rest, that's section D, is where you provide your digital address, your house address, street name, city, district, region, and that is more of addresses. Then ownership of premises. Do you rent it or you occupied, or it's a free use? So for instance, where we sell our mineral water in our house, it's just part of the house, shop that my sister built, and it's given to us for free use. Yeah, register no, I take it free use, right? You have open a business, be like maybe you operate an Indomie joint, Yaya Indomie, right? So Yaya Indomie, and it is on the porch of your family house, right? You don't pay rent, it is not your own, and it is for free use. So you just take. If owner occupy, is it part rented? You all those things you know. And if yes, provide details of landlord. So you provide landlord's name. If that is if you have rented the place. Then principal place of business. So is the principal place of business the same as the registered office address? Because sometimes you may register your business for this particular place, right? But you may be operating elsewhere. If that is the case, then you provide details, right? You provide details. So I may have registered my business using an office, right? Or using a location in where I live. But at the end of the day, my business is really booming in another region or another district or elsewhere. Then you provide the details. But most often, where you operate or where you register as your business office is the same as the place where you operate. And if there are other places, it is under section F. You provide that information. There is an instruction, just as I told you, on the right column of the forms. You will see businesses that have multiple operational location must complete this section. Supplementary sheets can be found on our website as usual. And then your postal address, you provide your contacts. So section G and H, address and contacts. And then I, the proprietor or the proprietress, that is the owner of the business. Don't forget, this form is for sole proprietorship, right? So you provide your name, first name, middle name, last name, any formal names, especially those who are Mrs. Then you may have a formal name, Grace Bosom Pem Kwenima, right? And now you are Mrs. Nyantechi, so you provide that name. Else, you might have a name which you have changed and re-registered your name. So you provide those former names. And of course, um, you provide your gender, date of birth, nationality, occupation, your mobile number, your personal email address, and 10, tax identification number. So it means that if you have registered with GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority, you may have a 10. And now we've been informed that our 10 is the same as our um, Ghana card number, but you just have to register with them first in order for you to know that this particular thing is your thing. But if you do not have a 10 or if you've not registered with them, then you will fill a GRA form so that whilst they are registering your business, they also register you for taxation purposes and you get your 10. Then you provide residential address for the proprietor or proprietor's address. And now we have medium, small, micro, small, and medium enterprises. And normally those are the organizations which are sole proprietors. Though companies and partnership businesses might also be a small or micro or medium enterprise. So if that is the case, you provide the revenue envisaged and the number of employees envisaged. I think there is a guidance on it if you look at the fourth page. The fourth page is just some information for your guidance. And this is what the classification is about. Now, if you turn to the page 4 of these forms, it gives the names, the business name category, employment size, turnover, and assets. So they are saying that if you are a micro business, if you employ between 1 to 5 staff, right? And your turnover, when we talk of turnover, we are talking about your revenue or your sales. Okay, your sales is around it's less than $25,000. So it's equivalent in Ghana cedis. Or you have assets which is less than $25,000. Now, if you employ more than 5, that is 6 to 30, then you're a small business owner and you have a turnover of above $25,000 to $1 million. Okay, or your asset to be above 25,000 to $1 million, then you are a small business. So if you are a medium business, 31 to 100 staff, or above 1 million to 3 million turnover, or same in assets. So that is the classification for you. You look at your turnover or you look at the assets that you have. And then if so, the whole point is when you started a business, you haven't sold anything yet. Just as I am encouraging you to even register your business at the time when you are starting, right? So you may likely not have any turnover or staff, then what baby original that oh yeah, micro micro minority. So and that's fine. And now there is privacy notice. They are telling you that collection of information, they collect personal identifiable information like name, postal address, email addresses when voluntarily submitted by our customers. The information provided is used to fulfill your specific request. Distribution, this would be done as permitted or required by law. So it means that the information they collect about you, they are likely going to keep it unless the law requires them to publish it to a third party, then they are likely to do that. And then commitment to data security. Your personal identifiable information is kept secured. Only authorized employees, agents, and contractors who have agreed to keep information secured and confidential have access to the information. So it means that they are not going to really breach confidentiality, and any third party who is likely to use that data is also not likely to breach confidentiality. Now, I say change notice. Every proprietor or proprietors is required to furnish the registrar with any change after incorporation. Okay, so you might have registered your business as so remember there was a bank called Ghana Commercial Bank. Now we do not have Ghana Commercial Bank Limited. We have GCB Bank PLC. Okay, so when they change their name from Ghana Commercial Bank Limited to GCB Bank PLC, they would have to furnish the registrar with any changes. Okay, that's you change your business name, you change your address, you change the nature of business and all those information. Annual renewal, buy or download business renewal forms at a fee of 25 Ghana cedis for a year. I do not think this amount is going to be a fixed amount. It is subject to review. Please make sure you have complied with the following. The document has been signed at all indicated places, filled in forms, if any, and provided digital address and email addresses. So that is what is provided. And when you look at the final part, it's all about declaration. You write your full name, you write your signature and the date. And then if the person who is filling these forms cannot read or write, there is a way that they can also um authenticate the forms. Okay, so that is just that. So this conversation has been about registration of business names. I believe I may zoom in, right? And I just realized that it was actually a law, which it means that I may go through the law, and then if I find anything interesting, I will share with you. Why not? We are building a lasting business together. One other thing I have to also put across is the fact that in subsequent episode I may also discuss the processes involved in registering a limited liability company. All right. And that is it for today. Thank you for joining, but please don't forget to subscribe and also try as much as possible to register your business. See you in the next episode.